In today's episode, you take my fishing spot, I'll make sure you don't catch anything. I will take you and your company to the cleaners. I got the best advice from a manager in this situation. So let's get started. You take my fishing spot, I'll make sure you don't catch anything. So back in high school, I was in what you might call a problem class. Just about everyone was rowdy, rude, and didn't listen to the teachers. I, on the other hand, was an introvert who liked to keep to himself, but that didn't exempt me from the collective punishment our class frequently got, so I tended to resent not only the class that got me in trouble for doing nothing, but the teachers who enacted it as well. One day the school decided to take a new direction in punishment and started what they called enrichment activities. Instead of giving us extra homework or detention, they'd send us on field trips to local areas to do different activities like cleaning up litter or volunteering at a soup kitchen. I loved this because not only was I getting less homework, but I often didn't need to be around my classmates, who would take this time to goof off with their own friend groups. Eventually our enrichment activity took us to a park outside our small city where a nature center put on a show of all the rescue animals they were allowed to bring: a big snake that was a pet, but was released into the wild, a red-tailed hawk they were nursing back to health, etc. And after that we had a choice: we could either go on a long hike, or we could go fishing. I love nature, and I visit my cousin's cabin once every summer, so I chose to go fishing. I even asked beforehand if I could bring my own rod and tackle. I was told yes, especially since the school was footing the bill for the rest of the rods and the bait. So when they separated us into the two groups for our activities, I was kind of surprised at how small the fishing group was. It was just me and 5 others, but I figured it was for the best since less people meant less noise to scare the fish away, right? Nope. As soon as I noticed who else signed up for fishing, I realized that it was a group of the loudest, most rambunctious group of teenage boys in the school, who thought they'd be the only ones to sign up so they could just hang out. But unfortunately I did sign up and actually wanted to fish, so they were stuck fishing. And they let me know. As soon as my hook hit the water, they were loudly complaining about how boring this was and trying to get the chaperones to let them go somewhere else. But to no avail. Eventually I got sick of them and told a chaperone I was going further down the lake to try and find a better spot, but really I was just trying to get away from the noise. Once I found a nice spot, I pulled out my best lure and spent some time fishing, and fairly quickly caught something. I reel it in and I had caught a pretty nice sized smallmouth bass. I ran back to the group to show everyone, mostly because the chaperones always insisted on getting pictures of these events. And the boys went from complete disinterest to excitement very quickly. Now that they saw someone could actually catch something, they wanted to catch something too. I felt a fair amount of pride, for about 5 seconds. As soon as I released the bass, and went back to my spot, the whole group followed me, staying as loud as they were before. I tried to tell them that they'd scare off the fish, but they didn't listen. So I tried to go to a new spot, and they followed me there too. At this point I just wanted to fish in peace. I asked a chaperone to get them to stop following me, but she chastised for getting them interested than not teaching them how to fish better. Eventually I got sick of them and hatched an idea. I swapped out my lure for a regular hook and marched over to a spot with a lot of reeds and lily pads. I told everyone that fish like to hide in the reeds from predators, true, and that the best way to catch fish during the daytime is to try and get their hooks in the middle of the reeds, not true, and they believed me. Pretty soon they were getting frustrated as their hooks got caught on reeds. One guy cast his line so far it got caught on a branch. Another pulled so hard trying to get his line out of the reeds that he broke the crappy rod the school bought, and eventually they all gave up and went back to the first spot to hang out again, and I got to spend the rest of the trip fishing in peace. I will take you and your company to the cleaners. Hi all. First time posting, so be kind. So a bit of backstory: I work for one of the UK's large internet, home phone and TV providers. I deal with tech support, sales, general customer relations and so on. Now my company only supplying home phone services opposed to business phone lines is important to the story, as you'll soon find out. So a customer calls in to express his rage that we've been overcharging his phone bill for months. I used to pay £10 per month, but now I'm paying £70. Checking his account, he downgraded from paying a set £10 to make unlimited amount of calls to a pay-per-minute plan, and due to making 90-ish calls to the same number per month he had been charged for the usage per minute, which racks up huge costs. Of course he's furious. States he doesn't use his house phone to make calls, so shouldn't be incurring charges. He only has his house phone to divert calls to his business, as his house number was being used as a business line. We should have told him this would happen, a typical line from customers in my industry. He wants a refund for the £210 in charges he's incurred due to his own error. For those who don't know much about phone calls etc., when you divert a call from line A to B, it is actually line A, customer's home phone, calling line B, customer's business phone, in order to transfer the line to them, and therefore counts as making a call, therefore still charged per minute. I inform him that diverting the call is the same as his home phone calling his business, and this is why there's charges. I also inform him we provide domestic and not business lines, and that using the line for business is a breach of his contract with us, so I can't refund him for the charges. Long pause on his end, and then I practically hear the foam coming from his mouth as he starts screaming at me that as a customer of 6 years I'll take you and your company to the cleaners if you even think of canceling my contract, and if I don't get my charges back I will sue for loss of earnings and the stress you will cause me, the loss of my FING customers and blah blah blah. Being an experienced agent, I'll usually warn customers 3 times about abuse, and then we'll disconnect the call. However, through the whole experience something isn't sitting right with me about the info he's giving, and how his bill is so damn high from diverted calls all to the same business number. So I ask about the volume of calls that are coming through and what business he's running. By this time he's so furious and acting like an invincible big man and so sure he has grounds to sue if we disconnect for breach of contract terms that he reveals he's running a call center with 36 agents using our phone line service. Basically his customers would call his house phone number he was paying us for, it would divert to his call center, where his customer service agents would then answer the diverted calls and arrange boiler repairs and installation etc. This of course is a huge breach of contract and a massive cost to the company I work for. Usually at the point a customer telling us I use my house number to run a business, it's not huge. It's more along the lines of a designer, DJ, hairdresser, freelance IT, who gives clients their home number because they don't have an office etc. This guy however, takes first prize for his audacity of running a call center from our services. So I tell him that I'll speak to another department and call him back. You know, yes Mr. Customer, I'll see what I can do Mr. Loyal Customer. So I speak to our compliance and fraud teams to investigate the breach of contract. The fallout. They issue him with a 31 cancellation letter, informing him that 1. He has 31 days to find a new provider before we cut him off for breach of contract. 2. Because his line rental was still within a minimum term contract, he has to pay early termination charges. $18.99 per month for the 15 months left of his contract equals £284.85 additional charges to him. 3. He will not be receiving the disputed charges because he's broken his contractual agreement with us. Funny thing is, if he was nicer I'd have let it slide. I've never emailed compliance on a customer except this guy. Good riddance. I got the best advice from a manager in this situation. I posted this previously in Tales from Your Server, but I think this fits here too. I worked in a restaurant where the employees are known for being dicks for about 4 months. And you'll see why I left. We 2 assistant managers plus 1 head manager who was the coolest guy I have ever worked with. One of the AMs was super chill and laid back, he has no role in this story. The other, who is at the center of this story, was a robot. She had a business management degree, and did everything by the book, so much, so I'm pretty sure the book bent her over, and spanked her every night. One night, we were decently busy, and we had 2 parties coming in about a half hour apart, which would take up 2 our large party tables. There were 2 of the same size, and a third slightly larger. This is important. About a half hour before the first group came in, I'm passing by the office seating other tables and robot asks me, do we have space for 10 right now? This would fill our bigger party table. I respond that there was space, but I was saving it for the big party in an hour. I was taught by our host that had been there for a decade that we should keep party tables open about an hour before the party arrived, so we were ready for them. Yeah, but do we have space right now? I'm trying to get more business. Yes. I walk back and prepare for this to be a *T show. This larger party had been reserved for a full week in advance, and I knew they wouldn't want to wait, which I totally understand, and honestly don't blame them. The badass manager who I would have followed anywhere else if it weren't for poor lower management choices like robots, stopped me as I walked back. He was on his way out and wouldn't be there for the evening, but he gave me the best advice I had ever heard in this industry. So, here's the deal. You can panic and get pissed at her, or you can understand you're right and watch this situation explode in her face. Here comes the MC. This newly added party comes in, I seat them at our larger table. Robot looks around, pleased at our full dining room. 30 minutes later the smaller of the reserved parties comes in, I put them at our smaller party table. I then brace for impact. I seat the larger party immediately when they arrive. The party currently at our larger table is finishing their food and would probably be done in 20 minutes, but as I expected, the new party didn't want to wait. I seat them at the table I knew would be too small and walk away. 5 minutes later, I get a pissed off robot on my radio. Did you seat this party just now at the smaller table? Yeah, they didn't want to wait. Well, you need to come explain to them that they need to, this table is too small. I'm seating other people, give me a second. I come by when seating other guests and watch Robot with her best customer service voice that made her sound somewhat human explaining that they were particularly busy tonight. Guest wasn't having it. We booked a week in advance, you should have been ready for us. Yes, Robot. Yes, you should have. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.